Okay, so a couple people wanted to know about graduation requirements and enrollment, so I thought that I would make a video and just show you guys kind of how to go over these things and how to plan for 4 years at UCLA. So the first thing that I want to go over are the GE requirements. Now, I will say that these do vary a little bit depending on the college. I'm in the College of Letters and Sciences. Most people are in the College of Letters and Sciences, so I'll go over these real quick. So there's three different groups of GEs. They're highlighted here: literary and cultural analysis, philosophic and linguistic analysis, visual and performance arts analysis, and practice. So if you look here, there's essentially a set number of courses within these areas that you have to take. So for this particular area, Foundations of Society and Culture, you got to take 3 courses. Scientific Inquiry, you got to take 4 courses. And this is kind of broken down here. These are pretty straightforward. I think you can find courses on the catalog, which I'll show you later, that satisfy these requirements. But the thing that I think is important to know is the difference between your GE classes and your requirements. So if you look here, there's certain requirements for graduation, one of which is your GE classes, and that is a set number of courses within each course area. But there's also requirements. So for example, you have your writing 1 and your writing 2 requirements. What this means is that this isn't necessarily saying this is a specific course you have to take. GEs can fulfill your requirements, and I would really recommend that you try to plan out a set number of GEs to fulfill your requirements. So for example, there's about, I don't know, 10-ish GEs that you have to take. Yeah, total GE courses 10. But if you took 10 GEs and none of those GEs hit writing 1 and writing 2, you'd have to take an additional 2 courses. You have to take additionally writing 1 and then additionally writing 2. So the good news is that a lot of GEs actually hit a requirement. So for example, one GE that I took is scanned 40W. And if you look it up on the schedule of classes, and you scroll down, what you should see here is that it hits a GE category and also a writing 2 requirement. So the point here is that within these 10 courses, try to pick courses that are also going to satisfy your requirements, because you don't want to get to the end of your 10 GEs and then realize, ah, shoot, I didn't take a GE that also satisfies a diversity requirement. I didn't take a GE that also satisfies writing 2 requirements. So just another example, another course I took is MCDB 60, and this satisfies the diversity requirement. So if you look it up and then you scroll down, you can see that it gives me a GE, philosophic and linguistic analysis, but also a diversity requirement. So that's kind of the difference between the 10 GE courses you're required to take, as well as the requirements. So again, try and pick GE courses that are going to wrap your requirements into them. That way you don't have to take an additional set of courses on top. And also, as a last note, when you're making a sort of 4-year plan, it might be a good idea to enroll in GEs and make sure that you're not overlapping your GEs. For example, you need here uh, within this subcategory, you need 1 course from each of these areas. And that's 3 courses total. But let's say you take 2 literary and cultural analysis courses, then 1 philosophical and linguistics analysis course. Yeah, you took 3 courses in Foundations of the Arts and Humanity, but you didn't take a visual and performance arts analysis and practice course. So then you'd have to go take a 4th course. You'd have 20 units here. You take more classes. It's a whole thing. So try and avoid that. So the next thing is, how do I know what classes to take for my major? There's 2 ways to do this. Once you get more comfortable with the My UCLA website, DARS is the best place to do that. But for now, if you're an entering student, a good place is your department website. For example, I have an MIMG major, and on our department website, we've got degree requirements. There's going to be 2 things usually for a degree: preparation for the major, which are your lower divs, and then your degree requirements, which are usually your upper divs and your electives. So this is pretty standard, I think. The one thing to keep note of is that certain courses are only offered during certain quarters and certain courses are series. Also, there's prerequisites. So take a look at your department website and then check out the courses, because what you don't want to do is, say you're a life science major, you don't want to say, okay, I need Chem 14 A, B, C, and D. That's 4 quarters. So I'll start my chemistry in spring quarter of my junior year. But then actually you also have to take biochem, which has these as prereqs. So you actually need a total of 5 quarters. Again, most course series aren't that long, so you probably shouldn't run into this problem, but it is just something to be aware of. Just make sure that, you give yourself plenty of time to take these series and complete your prereqs before doing your operatives. So yeah, just a list of certain courses you have to take. These are usually pretty straightforward. And then another thing for your degree requirements, usually what will happen is there's a little bit more flexibility here. So for example, in MIMG, there's 2 paths. This one path, you take courses that are a lab and a journal club to go with the lab. And the other path, you take 196 contracts, which are basically the same as 199 contracts. That's research. So you enroll and you get units for lab research. But typically, you'll also have some required courses. So biochem, you have to take one of these 2 courses, LS 107, which is genetics, intro microbiome, immunology. So the thing to note here, certain courses are only offered certain quarters. So when you're making a 4-year plan, make sure you're looking out for that. You don't want to say, I don't know, leave MIMG 101 for your last year, and you don't enroll in fall, you don't enroll in winter. Now it's spring and you say, oh, I want to take MIMG 101, but you actually have to wait another quarter and delay graduation. So keep an eye out for that. And then there's also some electives. Again, this stuff is generally pretty straightforward. So another thing is to use the schedule of classes. If you check here, I feel like this is something people don't use enough. You can actually look at tentative course offerings, I think up for a year out. So right now the schedule for fall is out. So you can see rooms, instructors, and times. But the tentative course offerings for further in the future are also out. So let's look at MIMG. Let's look at winter 2025. You click go. Here are the courses that MIMG will offer in winter 2025. This is also useful because a lot of times the department website will list certain courses and it'll say they're offered every winter. So for example, molecular parasitology. This is typically offered in the winter. And if we go to the MIMG website, well, apparently it's usually offered in the fall. They say this is offered in the fall. But I can tell you as an MIMG student who's been wanting to take this class for a while, this class has not been offered in quite some time. So you can check here and make sure that if you're planning on, say, taking a class in winter of your last year, and you're planning on it because it's on the website, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what's up to date. So just check and make sure the courses you want to take are actually there. So the next thing is DARS. This is Degree Audit Report. You can find it under the Academics tab. It's right here. So if you go to DARS, there's 2 things you can do. You can just click Run Audit, just run whatever's there. So that's your declared major or any declared minors. Or you can do a what if audit and you can put in which major and which minor you want to choose. These take, I don't know, a minute or 2 to run. So I just pre-ran a couple of them. So this is my degree audit report system. There's a lot of information here. So let's go through this and see what we can get from it. So the first thing you'll see is major, concentration if applicable, and minor. So this is what I am currently declared as. I'm in the system as an MIMG major with Plan 1 and the biomedical research minor. I'm actually going to do Plan 2. I just have not declared it yet. So I'll show you that in my hypothetical DARS in a minute. So over here, you can see how many units you've completed. You can see how many units you have in progress. You can see your GPA, and then you can see your units broken down by GE, major, upper div, etc. So there's a couple things to note here. And actually, I should probably show you this first. Enrollment appointments at UCLA are given based on how many units you have. So if you look here, depending on how many units you have, that's when you get to choose your classes. And the earlier you are, the better, because then it's easier to get your classes. What's important to note is that if you check in your DARs, this number of units will oftentimes include your AP classes. So for example, I have not actually completed 186 units. I've completed however many units I've completed at UCLA, but I have a bunch of AP units from high school. So that's something that's important to know. Um, so if you check these units here, this is not actually representative of how many units you have in terms of enrollment. So this is an important distinction. I do not have 180 enrollment units. The units that count towards your enrollment are only the units that you have completed either at UCLA or another college. So community college classes will give you enrollment units. UCLA classes will give you enrollment units. AP will not. So people always say, oh, my enrollment says I'm a senior. That's because there's sometimes it'll say, oh, you have 180 units, you're a senior, but those include your AP units. Now, these do count towards graduation. You need 180 units to graduate. So it can help you get to graduation, but usually it doesn't end up being that helpful because usually you have to hit your 180 to complete your major. You have to hit that 180 actually at UCLA. So be careful of what units you're looking at. Then if you check down here, there's a bunch of stuff and you can flick through this and see it better. So it'll show you what courses you're taking, show you your units, your GPA. Here, it'll show you your requirements. So it'll show you whether or not these were completed. And this is really good to get an idea of, what you need to take. This is where it'll show you your GEs. So I've completed most of my GEs. I have one more GE though. And what's useful here is that when you click on it and it's not filled, it shows you all the classes you can take. So if you click on a random class, it will bring up the course descriptions. And then you can click through and see. So I didn't make note of what class that was. Let's pick ethnomusicology 30. Music and media. So here's the course description. So this is a useful way to find courses that you want. But again, like I said, make sure when you're picking courses that you actually go through and find courses that actually satisfy your requirements as well. So this is what I meant when I said there's courses and requirements. These are the courses that you're required to take for your GEs. And then these are the requirements that you have to hit somehow. And the best way to hit these requirements is to pick GEs that fulfill them. So my MCDB 60, that gave me a requirement down here or somewhere. Gave me requirements here. Philosophical linguistics analysis also gave me diversity. Here you can also see your major courses. So you can see the lower division courses. That's usually called preparation for the major. All that. You can also see your upper division courses. And again, this is where it will show you the courses that you can select from. So I need to take 185A, click on it, it'll come up, it's immunology. And then there's some other stuff, right? So I can take 196A and B, or I can take MCDB 196A and B. Same thing, MIMG 180A and B, or MCDB 180A and B. And then here's a list of all the electives I can take. For my general electives, here's a list of all the focus electives I can take. There's also a certain number of upper division courses that you have to take. You have to hit those units. Here's my requirements for my minor. Some other things. Yeah, that's pretty much it. DARS, like I said, there's a lot of text. Just move around on it, see what you can get. And then here's my what if. So this is just MIMG. Oh, maybe it didn't work. So this is actually my what if. This is with plan 2. So I don't have plan 2 declared yet, but I did a what if DARS. And when you run your DARS, you'll see how to do that. It's pretty intuitive. And you can just, run a DARS and see what it would look like if you did a different major. This can be pretty helpful. Okay, the last thing, the big boy, class planner. So here's the classes that I am enrolled in so far. Class planner can be pretty stressful. So let's just go through making a plan. So I'm going to click new plan. It's going to take a second because it likes to take a second. So just as a note, the class planner also kind of sucks. So usually if you just refresh it, it'll work better. So classes, class planner. All right, let's try again. So I'm going to click new plan. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to uncheck study list. That way it doesn't show the classes I'm enrolled in. This is what it's going to look like for you if you're enrolling for the first time. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to click subject area, and let's enroll like I am enrolling in the classes that I'm going to take next quarter. It's going to be Chem 153B. So you search your subject area, search your class, and then you go here. Actually, I'm already enrolled in this class, so let me pick a different class because then it'll make more sense. So this is what you'll see. You'll see some class that's open, and what you can do here, you can click and it'll open. And now you'll see all the discussion times. So what you can do is you can click add class to plan. This doesn't enroll you. What it'll do is it'll go show you here in the schedule where this class is. When it does come time to enroll in the class, what you want to do is you want to click on here and you want to click enroll right here. So enroll in the discussion and not the lecture, because this actually automatically enrolls you in the lecture as well. So again, enroll in the discussion and not the lecture. I've already taken 153A, so it's going to tell me, oh, you can't do this, right? I already took it. So let's find another class. It's a class I haven't taken. I did the chemistry 30 series, so I haven't taken 14C. Ah, it's full. About 14B. Also full, fantastic. About a lab. Fantastic. Wow, these are all full. Okay, so here's a class that's open, 14BL. So what you can do here is when there's an open class, click on info and you can check and see if there is any restrictions to the class. So here it says enrollment is limited to departmental majors and the priority and first enrollment pass. So we're already done with that. Second enrollment pass. Okay. Anything else? No. So here's the requisites. There's two types, R and W. R type prereqs are required. W types are not. So if it's a W, you can enroll in it. It'll give you a warning, but you can still enroll. If it's an R, it won't let you enroll. So let's add this to my plan. Let's pick a random discussion time. Add it to my plan. Okay, so now I have a couple things in my plan. And you can see that there's no conflict. So if I wanted to enroll in this, I could do it, no problem. But sometimes what happens is you will have conflicts in scheduling. So let's try and find a class that gives me a conflict. No. No. This might take a second. Usually you're not trying to find classes that you can't enroll in, you're trying to find classes that you can enroll in. Aha. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. to 9:15. So I cannot enroll in this because it is full, but also it gives me a conflict. So here some classes are held for new students. It says there's a discussion time, there's a discussion conflict. Okay, so here I guess I accidentally must have clicked enroll. That's why it was showing me all these warnings. So let's go here and let's click add class to plan, add it as class 3. And here we go. So now it is in here. You can see there's a conflict, so that's not good. So a lot of times what happens is at new student orientation, they tell you to have a lot of backups. What they do is they tell you to go here, find more sections for this class, click on this. Okay, pick a different lab time. Okay, I have a conflict here, so let's pick lab 1C, add it as an alternate to 30BL. Boom, it's an alternate. And you say, okay, I'm going to enroll, but when I went to enrollment, it filled up too quick, so I'm going to swap my alternate. Uh-oh, now you have another conflict. So this is what happens, right? You make a schedule, everything fits, but as soon as something fills up, now you have a conflict, you don't know what to do. So that is why I actually suggest using the plan optimizer. It's something that literally no one that I've ever talked to knows about. Maybe apparently because it doesn't work. So let's real quick reload. Again, unclick study list, so we're not looking at the classes that I'm enrolled in. Now let's try Plan Optimizer. So if we go down here on your Plan Optimizer, you can search for different classes and subject areas. It will show what's available here. You click on the class, you click on this right arrow and it'll add it, left arrow to get rid of it. So these are the three classes. And let's say I want to find a schedule that works. So what you can do now is you click Options. And I like my classes to be early and grouped. This means they are earliest times and they have the least amount of time between them. And you can choose here only open classes. Now, I'm not going to do that because Classics is full, but I'm just going to say all. So what you do when you click the plan optimizer, it shows you every single possible schedule for your selected classes. So no schedules are found with the selected criteria. That means that with these classes, there's no way to not have a time conflict. Okay, that's unfortunate. So let's pick a different class. Let's get rid of Chem 30BL and let's pick, I don't know, let's pick a life science class. Let's pick 7A. And you know what? Let's actually pick another chemistry class because this is what a typical first quarter schedule might look like for a life science major. So let's go to Chem and Biochem. Let's take Chem 14A. So this would be a pretty typical first quarter schedule, two major classes, and then a GE. So let's do grouped and early, and let's click go. Ah, so there are 10,000 possible schedules. Of course, that's way too many. But what you can do is as you click through these, you can see that it will move stuff around and it will show you literally every single possible combination. And I think personally, this is a really useful tool because, like I said, a lot of times what happens is when you get your enrollment appointment, you plan your classes and then things fill up, things change. You have to, in the moment change it. So this is a really good way to kind of avoid having a bajillion alternate classes under here because that's what your NSAs are going to tell you to do. At least that's what they told me to do. Just have a million alternates and then you're stressed because it's the first time. Your class fills up, so you pick your alternate, but then your alternate has a time conflict because then you switch another class to the alternate. You can plan it out that way, but if things aren't working, you could literally just go here and then really quickly have it make a new plan for you and then go and add those. Let's see. Is there anything else? Okay, so the last thing is how to find classes. I think we pretty much went over it, but if you are looking for classes that are open, let's say a writing two class, you can use this tool, find a class and enroll. You can click go, and it'll show you everything here. You can expand it to see times and instructors, and you can do all these different filters. That's pretty much it. So I hope this is helpful, and I hope that everyone can get through enrollment well. Thank you.